To see some people, this is the problem here. Some people think if a very humble or meek person like yours truly here says something like this, I'm somehow taking away from the status or from the esteem of an Imam Al Sadiq. No, not at all. Not at all. Actually, it would harm his status and his esteem to attribute something like this to him. There may have been some type of historical context in which something like this developed, because this is what happens. When people are under pressure, the followers of Imam al-Sadiq were under pressure. And when you put them under official pressure, then things like this begin to happen. And it's not peculiar to Shi'is, it's not peculiar to the followers of Imam al-Sadiq. This is human nature. You put Sunnis, like in today's world, you put them in a political and social pressure cooker, they begin to create things that are weird. All the Muslims are kuffar, for example. This is, something that we're living with. It's a fact of life. There's no basis for this. There's a difference between, I'll take you moment by moment here. There's a difference between saying the people right now who consider themselves to be Muslims fall short of that Islam. You can reason with that. But to come and say the Muslims today who say that they are Muslims are out and out kafirs, wait a minute here. This happens. So don't think that and it doesn't harm, Muslims to try to diagnose the problems that we have. Actually, this is a step forward. There's nothing wrong with it. Whether it was in the past, whether it's in the present, or whether it's going to be in the future. No, we're not taking away from the status or esteem of Imam al-Sadiq by saying that this issue about Al-Jafar is questionable. And with the knowledge that we have, it remains unacceptable. And most of the substantiation of this claim of Al-Jafar can be traced to Al-Kulayni. It is also to be found in Al-Kulayni, and you see, just like in Al-Bukhari there are some hadiths that are not valid hadiths, in Al-Kulayni there are some hadiths that are not valid hadiths. The only book we have that remains valid from the first word to the last word in it is the Quran. There's no other book like that. The other books of hadith, yes, human beings tried to put together what the Prophet said. Some of them have been more successful, some of them have been less successful. But they haven't put together an infallible book. So if Al-Kulayni comes here and says that, Imam al-Sadiq had this type of knowledge and the other Imams have this type of knowledge, which no other human being in the world has or had. One minute here. You're going too far. And then another thing we find in Al-Kulayni says, إن في القرآن نقصا. There is in the Quran a deficiency. That's his words.
That's what's in the copy, right?
Yeah. And Imam Al Tusi took, one of the other Shia Islamic scholars, took issue with this. How do you say these things? So we, in agreement with some Shia scholars, in disagreement with other Shia scholars, say that there's no such thing as a statement like that. There's no validity to it. I'll explain what he meant by that as we go on. I remember that there's more explanation to it. There are some Shia scholars, historians, who spoke about Al-Jafar, but they just mentioned it. They didn't go into explaining it, which would indicate that it doesn't sit very comfortable with them. And these scholars are contemporary scholars, and they are also scholars of the past in those years way back then, over 1,000 years ago. It is said, it is assumed by some, that there's an offshoot of Tashayyu' called Al-Khattabiyya. It's something that was. We're not speaking about a major trend in Islam, but these were people who followed a particular person. His name is Abu al-Khattab Muhammad ibn Zainab. It appears this person was from Iraq, who claimed to be holier than thou. And these types we encounter a lot of times. So he came and he was the one who propagated this type of knowledge to Imam Sadiq.